Through the ups and downs, we stand tall in this journey of growth. Day by day, through the ups and downs, we stand tall in this
Pins and
journey
needles.
of growth.
I used to just start giggling.
Okay. Well, we're on
Uncontrollably.
live and we're not giggling uncontrollably
Yeah.
now. Instead, we're talking about pins and needles in school assembly because people
Oh,
wouldn't
another
have heard
subject.
that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that later
Yeah.
at a later date. Okay. What are we talking about today, Angela?
I think we're going to be talking
Angela?
Angela. The Essex is really coming out today, isn't it, Juliet? Are we
It's strong.
swapping personalities? See, your extroversion there. So today we're going to be talking about the leading on from yesterday on introverts and extroverts and how it's is it an extrovert's world? Do you think?
Oh, I don't
Juliet?
know. Or last week for the listener.
Oh, sorry. Yes, apologies.
Yesterday
Last
for
week.
us. I don't know, because our kind of prompt that we've created for ourselves says we're in an extroverted world. But actually, are we in an extroverted world these days? Because I saw like one of these things on the internet, these meme things on the internet yesterday, and it was an AI drawn picture of kids in a playground for each decade from like the 1950s up till now. And of course, first of all, you had the kids playing with like skipping ropes and I don't know, coins or something.
That was back in my day.
Marbles probably. And then you had them on playground equipment, and then it went through basically. And of course, it came to today, and it was just people standing individually looking at their phones. And I think it was a bit extreme, and there were a variety of comments from people saying, yeah, real big problem to people say, obviously in that tone of voice with text, and then other people saying, have you actually been in a kid's playground, or the kids near me are running around playing? Like basically, there's different schools of thought that kids are not really like that. But if we're in an extroverted world, then surely we wouldn't all be sat at home with ourselves all the time, just looking at screens.
But so what is do we need to go through the definitions of an introvert and extrovert are, so that we can understand perhaps what other people might be like? What do you think that you yourself are? Would you say you're a mixture? So here if I go through the definitions here for those that might not understand exactly what they mean. So the introvert is someone who gains energy from solitude and feels drained by too much social interaction. Possibly, I don't think that's necessarily entirely 100% the truth, but the extrovert is someone who gains energy from social settings and often thrives on connection and interaction. And then, as you mentioned last week, the ambivert is a mix of both, someone who can lean into social or quiet time depending on the situation.
Yeah, and as we talked about on the last podcast, I think for me, I haven't quite worked out what I am. I definitely used to think I was an extrovert and used to behave in an extroverted way, but wonder now if that's because I had codependent characteristics. I feel now that I'm more of an introvert, but I wonder if that's because I'm around children, my children, all day, every day, and kind of that is social interaction in a way, and feel like I need just a little bit of space from people. So I don't really know. I don't, or maybe I'm an ambivert. I definitely enjoy socializing and being around people, but I also really appreciate time on my own and a bit of space. So I think I might be extrovert, but also really appreciate and enjoy time on my own. I do wonder. I think this is maybe something for a bit of research, whether people can think they're extroverted because they've got codependent characteristics.
I think that's what you mentioned on the last podcast as well, was about that, because I think I said about when I stopped drinking, I actually liked my own company, but before that I didn't like necessarily, well, not that I didn't like my own company, but I really thought I needed to be around people and wanted to be around people and wanted to be out partying all the time and seeing people and doing things, and then maybe slowed down a bit. So would that make me an ambivert now, or was I always one?
Yeah.
And yeah, like you say, it maybe needs a bit more of a introspection on that one then.
And do you go and put yourself in situations now where you're around a lot of people?
I do, but calculated. I'll be like, that's enough peopling for this week.
And
it depends who it is. Like I'll choose my audience. So if it's like tonight, there's an event, and I will be going out for that, and but I'm looking forward to doing that, and I definitely know I'll enjoy myself. So maybe that's whereas there's other events that I'd probably go to, say if it was a networking thing or something like that, I'd just be like, oh, do I really want to go to this?
Yeah.
So it
What's
depends
your
on the
event tonight?
circumstances.
We should make it clear that we are recording this on New Year's Eve
I didn't know.
as we go into the new year.
Yeah, no, just it's dinner with friends at a bar at the end of my road, and it's one of my friends is a singer, she's singing, and so it's it's going to be a really lovely evening. And I think there's about 5 of us going out for it, and we have a sit down meal. And then we'll be home before midnight because of my dog and the fireworks. So it's not going to be a late evening, and I'm not too far away from my dog, which is one of my things that I like to, whether that's introvert or extrovert, being because I'm not on my own when I'm on my own. Ever.
Yeah, I think it's important to note though that someone can be an extrovert and still enjoy time on their own, and someone can be an introvert and still enjoy time with other people. It's nothing. My understanding of it is that it isn't actually anything to do with whether you like being with other people or don't like being with other people. It's just how you refill
is it your
your
personality
bucket, if you
type?
like.
Is it your? Would you say it's an identity?
Oh, that's quite strong, isn't it? I'm sure some people can do use it as their identity.
Yeah.
They do like to define themselves
I'm an extrovert.
as, yeah, look at me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like some people may use that as a, as an identity, that they're, they see themselves. That is their whole persona as an extrovert or an introvert.
Yeah, I'm sure that's. I think isn't that the case with everything? People, you can always find someone who identifies with something and makes their whole life about that thing. So how do you work out what you are as someone who doesn't really know what they are?
Do you need to though? Do you have
No.
to have? Do you have
No.
to know whether or not
Maybe
you're
not.
an introvert or an extrovert or an ambivert? Like, does it matter?
I don't know.
Or is it just trying to work it out to know whether or not I suppose, would you want to know so that you can, if you didn't know what an introvert and an extrovert was, and you say you came back from social situations and you were always feeling rubbish, say you're like drained, then you might not understand that the reason could be the fact that you're an introvert and it was too much peopling and you need to recharge your batteries, perhaps. And that there's nothing actually wrong with you. You just, it's just social interaction possibly drained you.
Yeah, I think that's relevant, isn't it? Because you might stop going out and doing things because you think you have a problem with going out and doing things, when actually maybe you just need to do things a little less or make a little bit more time for yourself at home. Or the flip side, you're getting drained because you're not doing enough with other people, and then you feel like you need to rest at home because you're feeling drained and tired, when actually the reality is you're drained and tired because you're only spending time on your own.
Yeah. So you need to maybe test it out if you don't know, if you don't understand what. It's another one of those things that maybe when you've got the self-awareness that you then test out.
How much do you think you can suppress it? Or it gets suppressed by behavior, like you said about your alcohol. That changed.
Yeah.
Who you thought you were.
Yeah, but I think because I was talking to Pete about this the other night about being alone, because I said I like being on my own, like, but I don't feel lonely. But then is that because I've got my dog? I don't think I've ever felt lonely in my adult life. I don't think I've ever felt like that. So that could, that could maybe, some people might think they're an introvert and they're lonely, or they might think they're lonely when in fact they're an introvert. Or is there a difference between feeling alone and lonely?
I think so. I've had this, maybe we've had this conversation before, or I've definitely had, or maybe I've had this conversation with clients, but yeah, from my perspective, there's a massive difference between being alone and being lonely. Like, you can be in a massive group of people and feel lonely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Or you can be on your own, like you said, and not feel lonely.
Yeah. But that doesn't, I'd see myself as an extrovert that chooses my audience now. Or not choose my audience, that sounds like I'm putting on a show. But like I'll choose who, I think more than going out, so I know some people that will go and be around people that they don't necessarily like because it's, I wouldn't say people pleasing, but it's more being polite, say, because you're friends of friends or whoever else. Whereas I just simply won't do that now. I'll just, if there's people that I don't want to be around who I find will drain my energy and not, I just won't go. I won't do things like that now.
So when you said that you think you're a people person, but you choose your audience, obviously that's probably a really healthy mindset. But I wonder if that actually has anything to do with introvert or extrovert, whether that's just you realizing that it's actually quite toxic to be around people who are pulling you down.
But then is the extroversion part of it, you'll just be around anyone because it's good to be out and be, you're gaining energy from the social settings that you're in?
I don't know, but I wouldn't say so. When you've been around those people, the people that are good for you, do you ever feel like, okay, you're done now, you need to get home, even though they're good people?
Yeah, sometimes.
Actually, this is a characteristic I noticed about you.
What do you mean?
I think you can, when you've I think I can sense when you've been around, like when I've been around you for too long, that you get more irritable. So maybe, so maybe you're an introvert.
Oh,
maybe I've just sussed it out. I've worked
closet
it out.
Introvert.
Closet introvert. Don't you think you do?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Are you like it with everyone?
But I hadn't noticed that. So, oh God, I'm not as self-aware as I thought I was, am I? Oh, bloody hell. But no, I think that I have possibly lots of things going on that I maybe need to do. And that's why, like, either get back to my dog or comes up very regularly.
Do you think you got anxiety?
My dog.
Anxiety.
Separation anxiety from 100%. I've got the separation anxiety, not Frank. But yeah, I think that maybe because I have tons of things in my mind going on all the time that I need to get done, lists and things that possibly think, right, that's enough peopling. Off I go. I need to get on with some stuff.
Yeah. So maybe you're an introvert.
Oh God, and I didn't even know it.
Maybe we've just worked it all out.
But I don't like crowds. Do you like crowds? I don't like crowded places. I went to Beyonce last year with Sean, and I hope Sean, like, she knows that I was not happy because we had to stand up in the stand. So that definitely, I did not like being in I felt like I was herded into a big group of strangers. And is that what being an extrovert is? That you don't mind being around a big group of strangers? Because I 100% hated every minute of being in that big group and getting pushed around and having drinks spilt on me. And I definitely would have preferred to have been in a seating area. Is that just age, or is that?
I think that's just a characteristic. I don't think it's anything to do with introvert or extrovert.
No? Okay.
I dislike. I don't mind. I think I actually wouldn't mind that.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
dislike crowds when I'm trying to do something and they're getting in my way. Like over
Like
Christmas,
Bond
it's
Street
been
when you're trying to walk.
oh
Yeah, because you did London at Christmas, didn't you?
I've done so much.
Bloody tourists.
Even oh my goodness, and I realised that I am in these moments adding to the problem. I'm not like I tell you what though, I wish I was Victoria Beckham who gets these places shut for her so she can. But I told you this, I think. I went on a 3-hour trip to try and get matching Christmas pajamas for the
Oh, was
family.
it 3 hours in the end? I know you
It was
said you went.
ridiculous. And it was all because I had specific requirements, like I wanted them to be cotton and I didn't want to pay too much money. I was being quite fussy.
Did you not ask
about what I got.
ChatGPT first about?
You know what? 3 hours
I don't
driving
think I
from,
could.
and it was fine. The going was brilliant. Like I got to this shop quickly. The roads were quiet, and I basically had to go to a series of shops and then come back via the same series of shops to take back what I bought on my trip, trying to make it work. And on the way to the first shop, it was lovely. It was a Sunday morning. I was like, this is great. The second I came out of it, that was it. Roads were packed. Everywhere was packed. Absolutely packed. The shops weren't opening because it was a Sunday morning. Some shops were open, some weren't. Some I had to stand outside and wait for them to open. It was hellish. But it wasn't necessarily, if there'd have been no people, it wouldn't have been quite so bad, obviously. But I don't think it was the people, because I could stand at a concert amongst a whole heap of people and be really quite happy. It was them preventing me from doing the thing. It was like you say, preventing me from getting home. I wanted to be at home doing the stuff I had to do at home, not spending 3 hours driving around these shops. Basically spending 3 hours doing it because there was so much traffic on the roads and so many people.
Did you manifest that traffic though, Juliet?
Well, I was part of it, wasn't I? The person behind me was cursing me, I'm sure. But yeah, that I don't like. But that's different, isn't it? That's not too many people. That's people stopping me from getting home.
Yeah. So is that part of the extroversion or introversion then?
I don't really think it's anything to do with it, but I do notice that both of us have said that we get a little bit irritated when something stops us from being at home. I wonder how normal that is.
Yeah, and I obviously didn't realise that that came apparent.
But
I didn't think that I don't know. I didn't think that I would. I suppose. I don't know. Like I'll get annoyed if I don't have my laptop with me in certain situations. I'm like, if I have my laptop now, I could be doing something rather than, if there's spare time.
Are you like that even when you're working for someone else?
Yeah. Yeah, I've always got something I've always got something that I can be doing. There's never. I find it very difficult to sit down in front of the telly. Like I said to you about the film I watched yesterday. I'm not just watching a film. I'm sitting there writing things, or I've got something on. So is that my introversion and having the energy or the company from having a noise on in the background?
I don't think it's anything to do with it, but I think it's interesting because I had this conversation with Matt yesterday because over Christmas we've had all this spare time, and I mean it's been deliberate spare time, like deliberately not booked up with stuff because we literally spend the year without a second of free time. And I had this big list of stuff that I wanted to get done, most of which is what I put in the work bracket. But of course my work is also my life. Like this is work. It's not really work, it's kind of a bit of fun. And he's employed and he's on annual leave right now. And he was like, oh, what am I going to do? And I thought, well, I'm sure you're going to find something, really, you're in your house. Work it out, work out how to be on your own.
DIY, Matt, DIY.
It's a very good point.
Lists. You need to write him a list.
You know what? But I did think to myself, I wonder what it would be like for me if I was employed and I was on annual leave.
But this is something that I have thought about this year. Is like when I am in a contract in corporate, I normally have probably 2 to 3 weeks off over Christmas because projects stop over Christmas, and you do completely unwind, and you completely stop working because nothing happens over Christmas, and
So
even
what
the
would you
lead up
do?
to it. I suppose really for the last sort of 4 odd years, I'd say I've obviously I'd had my hypnotherapy to work on, but then and anything to do with that, like say courses or reading and things like that. But I'd always have something to read on or a course to do, even before this, on self-development or something.
So
Or
the
before
work,
that, the drinking.
the
I'd be
work
out
kind of
drinking.
becomes the hobby.
Yeah. But I don't think it's an unhealthy way. I think
No, not at all.
I just want to be. There's always something. I've got a stack of books that I need to read. I've got my Kindles backed up. I've got
Yeah.
courses on my laptop that I want to do. There's always something that I want to be doing.
And so I'm
That perhaps
exactly the
doesn't
same.
involve me being in a social situation, because I'd be like, right, dinner's done. I've got to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning to chat to Juliet or to,
Yeah.
and things like that. So and that's what I want to be doing. So perhaps then maybe your introversion, extroversion in that aspect changes when you have different purposes in life at different times.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same as you. But I wonder if that is actually anything to do with being an introvert or extrovert, because I think we have to take it back to the
Yeah.
definitions. Like an extrovert isn't just someone who
Needing
wants to
alone
be
time.
out all the time. An extrovert is just someone who re-energizes from being out and about, but they do still want to be at home. And then an introvert is just someone who just needs a bit of alone time.
So here on one of the prompts, it's saying work life. So how introverts and extroverts and ambiverts function in team dynamics, corporate events, and meetings. So I suppose if you are, an extrovert, I have absolutely no problem in leading meetings and things like that. So in a work environment, it doesn't fill me with dread. Like if somebody, oh my God, so and so's off. Like say the program, who's going to? I'll be like, I'll do it. I've got all the information. I'll just run it. I have no problem doing things like that. Whereas I know people that I've worked with, team members who would literally rather fake their own death than take a meeting.
I think that's a
because
confidence thing rather than. But how do you feel at the end of a meeting? Do you feel drained, like you need to go and just shut yourself off for a bit of time, or do you feel full of energy and vibrant and motivated?
Yeah. Well, I suppose it depends how it went. If there's been some terrible ones.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I've been beaten around the head. But if not, then 9 times out of 10, I'd say that. But I enjoy being the front and centre and doing the pulling things together, I suppose. So is that good, being the dynamics of that? But equally, if I've got a lot of work to do, I like to be on my own and have nobody bothering me. But is that just how you work, and is it managing your energy levels?
I think that's just how you work well. I think if you like yesterday, for example, you said you went to the bar down the road to work because you were a bit done with being shut in. Is that because you're an extrovert and you needed to? It was draining you being shut at home just on your own.
Well, no, as well. I think Sian was here working, and she gets a bit annoyed with me because I sit there and she's trying to work, and I'll be like, oh, and another thing. And I know that I'm annoying her. So I thought, and also we're out for dinner there tonight. So I thought I needed to go and give them my
Show your face
menu. And give them my menu choices. So there was more than one reason for me to go there and sit and have a coffee. And I thought it'd be nice to just work somewhere different, but obviously didn't get enough work done because I was earwigging into people's conversations.
But
so I don't. Yeah, but I wanted a change of scenery. Yes, yeah. I found it really interesting.
Yeah,
it did boost me, I suppose. So even if I didn't get a lot of work done there, it was nice being around strangers.
Yeah. So then that's quite an interesting complexity, because if that suggests you're an extrovert because you've been out and kind of recharged your batteries by just having a bit of social time, but you've recharged your batteries and giving yourself energy,
Hmm.
but you struggle to work in that environment. So you
Yeah.
need the quiet time. You need the quiet solitude
Hmm.
to work
And I have to
effectively.
work in silence as well, or industrial
Yeah.
noise, as I found out when there's a
Yeah.
wood chipper outside my window. But I think as well, it's the quality of the like we've said earlier, it's the quality of the people. So obviously, the conversation I was listening to yesterday was very high vibe. Had I been in a, not putting the name down, a lesser pub that has spoons on the end of it, perhaps the conversation in there might not have been as high vibrational as the conversation that I was listening to in where I was in the environment that I was in yesterday.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So
That would have dragged me down, I think, because you've been sitting there listening to people possibly whereas there is never anybody's, it's always people laughing and joking in there, so it's a good place to go.
okay. That's
So I think that's another environment thing when it comes to who you're around.
Yeah. And I'm still none the wiser where I fit in.
So would you go and work in a coffee shop or a, because it's basically a wine bar a restaurant, coffee shop, whatever you'd want to call it, but would you go and work somewhere like that?
Yeah, and I used to a lot.
Hmm.
But I realised this the other day, actually. I work now on a computer, like a desktop computer, and I've got a big screen, and I really love my computer, but it's a computer, I can't transport it around. And most of my stuff is saved on the computer rather than on like the cloud. And so we also used to have a laptop, and this was before I had the computer. I used to do all my work on the laptop. And so if I were at home working, I'd be sat in the lounge, probably in front of the TV working.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Or I'd go to a coffee shop, and it would all. But now I'm shut away in the office on the computer, and I find it really difficult. We've now got a laptop that's not very good, which I can barely work on even at the best of times. So I find it really difficult to go and do that. I wouldn't choose to go and do that now. But also I'm really comfortable in my office. It's warm and it's comfortable and it's easy and it's nice. So yeah, I used to do it a lot, but I wouldn't now. But that's definitely based on my kind of the stuff I have around me.
And what about so you think that's kind of your environment for when you're working?
Yeah.
And so do you think you feel energized in your workplace then?
Yeah. I do.
I do in the summer when it's warm up here. I've had my heater on this morning.
It's the only place in our house that's warm. Yeah, it's really confusing, isn't it? Because I do also really enjoy being around people. I used to have quite a lot of FOMO. And
yes, yeah.
I'd want to be the last at the party, the last to leave. I would go to everything.
Oh,
Now,
absolutely.
I'm quite different. Now I almost try to get out of things. But again, that's based on...
Do you think that is age though? I honestly do, because I just think, look, we've been there and done it. Like even one of my friends who still goes out to raves, and I think, I love the idea of it. And I did have one booked in the summer, and then it rained loads, and I thought, I'm not going to a mud-soaked field. I'm just not going to do it. I don't want to get rained on. But I did like the idea of it, and I was really excited. And then when it didn't happen, I was like, oh well. I wasn't bothered.
Yeah.
But she still goes, and she says it's the same music that we listened to when we were young. And every time she comes back, she's like, "Oh, it was great, but it's the same stuff we listened to when we were younger, and nothing's really changed." So I don't know why I keep going to these things, So
I think it is partly age, but it can't be fully age, because like you say, you've got friends who still do it, and I've got friends who still do it. For me, you know what it is? It's the anxiety about this, like not being tired and making sure I get the stuff done I want to get done. And even though we like you. I get up early, and I get up early Monday to Friday. I don't get up early Saturdays and Sundays, but I hate being
Saturday's
tired.
my lay-in. Yeah.
Yeah, but even I can't lay in very
I say
well.
lay-in. It's 7, 8 o'clock.
Exactly. So it's great if I've gone to bed at 9 p.m. like I do the rest of the week, and I get up at 7 or 8 o'clock. That is like the dream.
Yeah.
But if I have a late one because I've not got to get up early, and I don't go to bed till like 1 a.m., I'm actually getting less sleep than I get in the week, and then I feel worse. And that is a struggle. I struggle with that. So I don't think that's anything to do with introvert or extrovert. I think that's some kind of anxiety about, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think perhaps if I didn't have my dog, then maybe I would be staying out longer or not be so worried about. I wouldn't have to think about, because for me to go out, there's a sequence of events that has to happen for me to be able to say yes to something. So it is more of a hassle. So it has to be something worth my while for me to agree to.
Is that a good thing though? Having Frank to keep you on the straight and narrow?
Well, I just wonder now, if I didn't have him, what would I do? Because I wouldn't have that,
yeah,
that pull here. I'd just get another dog. That's what I'd do. More dogs is the answer to all of my problems.
But you were quite different when you weren't so worried about Sean.
I know, and this is the thing, and we've spoken about this, Sean and I was like, I said to her about this, and I was like, oh my God, I said, I feel terrible. I said, because, I said, I worry more, I think, about leaving, but I think it's because Frank can't tell me, can he? He can't tell me that he doesn't like being left on his own.
Yeah.
Whereas Sean could go, I don't want you to go out tonight, or I don't want to, but she was left with her dad mainly. So
yeah,
it wasn't, I'd choose my time when I went out, because she'd go to her dad's. If I went to go out for dinner, she'd go to her dad's. It wasn't, and he'd have her overnight, say.
Yeah. So you were able to, and like you would, but you would do that with Frank. You would give Frank to Pete.
Yeah, but the 9 times out of 10, I'm with Pete when I'm going out. So it's, that's why. But that's another question. So if you, because would you say Matt's an introvert? Like your partner? For anyone listening.
I think he's an extrovert. Actually.
Yeah. Pete's quiet, but he's definitely, he likes being around people. So I'd say, I don't think he'd see himself as an extrovert.
Because I think people misinterpret misinterpret what an extrovert and an introvert is.
Yeah.
I think you can definitely have an introvert who likes being around people. It's just that it drains him a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. He likes his alone time. He definitely likes his, like, even us as a couple, we don't live together. So we'll be like, he's staying around tonight, and I'll be, oh, that's enough tomorrow. Off you go to work.
What about
in a nice way, not like as in I can't stand to be around him. Like it's just like, oh, I've got stuff to do, you've got stuff to do, so we'll plan our weekends around, right? What and it's always, what am I doing on Saturday? Because say if he's got the weekend off, and he'll be like, right, well I'll do this, and that's the kind of how we plan things around. But it's not the fact that you don't want to spend time with each other.
After you and Pete have been out with a group of people for an evening, what's his mood like?
So he will go when I used to not make him go out, but years ago, say we'd go out for dinner with people that he doesn't like football. So, and most men talk about football that aren't his friends, and so he will just sit there like not saying anything, because he's like, yeah, football, great. he's got nothing to say. And he finds that with a lot of men, that they'll strike up because he goes and sits in bars on his own. He'll go to pubs and sit there and have a drink on his own. And he is, particularly when he goes away. And a lot of men, I think, try and find common ground talking about football. And he's just like,
very much so.
Yeah, great. So, you know, and he finds that quite difficult, and he will literally finish dinner, say, and then he'll go home and I'd stay out.
Mm. What would he talk about out of choice?
Motorbikes. Girls. No, I don't know.
Oh, so
he would, I think he would,
girls.
yeah, he would, yeah, I think he's got loads of interesting things to talk about. But I think a lot of men find their, perhaps introverted men will just try and find a common ground. Football, cars. He'd talk about cars. I'm such a stereotypical man.
Yeah.
Mechanical things, trains.
What does he talk about with his friends?
They talk about funny things. Like, some of their group chats are hilarious. It was like listening to those guys in the bar last night. Like, some of them they chat about the most random things, and they're quite funny.
This is a real generalisation, but I think a lot of men don't really have much to talk about.
Yeah, they're not like you and I will sit there and dissect things like we're doing this,
like we
here,
are,
and really like go into the detail and what's the meaning of this. Whereas I think it's a bit more shallow, isn't it?
Yeah.
When it comes to men talking,
I suppose it's like some women who also aren't that interested in deep dissection of life and will just gossip.
Yeah.
You know, you could be so general and say women gossip and men talk about football. It's obviously not the case for all women or all men, and there's some women who like football and some men who like gossip. But
or some women that like football.
Oh God! Well, I think I said that's what I just said.
Oh, you did.
What's it?
Some people that don't listen to their friends when they're talking. Went over my head. I heard what I wanted to hear.
Maybe that's not what I said. Maybe I said something else. Yeah, Matt talks about football and that's about it.
Golf. Does he not talk about golf?
If someone doesn't know about
grass.
football, he'll probably
talk about grass a lot.
Yeah, pull in golf. There's not a lot to talk about with golf, I don't believe.
You just hit a ball, don't you?
Yes, you do. Strange game.
It's very, very bizarre. I likened it to hockey, hence I was no good at it.
Yeah.
Can't smash the ball around the what's it, green. That's it.
The green, no. So our you know, without giving away that we literally have all these prompts written out next to us. I'm just looking at you know, this says that extroversion is often celebrated as the ideal. Do you think that's right? Do you think that it is?
I don't know. I look at these people. You know, say if you were to call an introvert someone that lives in the middle of nowhere in on a farm, that's my ideal.
Yeah. Why would extroversion being an extrovert be celebrated as the ideal? Maybe some people think that it's beneficial to. Maybe it's the FOMO thing.
See, and is extroversion seen as outgoing? You know, like, oh, she's very outgoing.
No, I don't think so. I think you could be an extrovert who sits there and says nothing. I think it's just literally you refill your batteries by being around people, or you drain your batteries by being around people, or you refill your batteries by being alone, or you drain your batteries by being alone.
And how can you test this? So say that we think that we've changed from being an introvert to an extrovert, and can you change? Can you change?
Or do you just understand yourself better and listen to yourself better?
Yeah. Can you test this then? Can I go? Well, I suppose I did yesterday, didn't I? And I did feel energized.
I think
And that
this
wasn't even conversing with anyone else, though. That was just being near high energy people, because they're projecting their electromagnetic field, and I was close enough to suck some of it in.
Yeah.
And I hope that my laughter gave some of it back to them.
Did you try and be their friend?
I didn't want to just
Did
be a
you,
vampire.
make eye contact and chuckle?
I did chuckle, yes.
Did they see you? Did they acknowledge you in the room?
Behind my laptop. I don't know, because I didn't make eye contact, because I didn't want to seem rude. Yeah. There's a group of men, you see. So
I wonder if they were showing off a little bit.
Sure, I think they were probably just they were jovial in the Christmas spirit. I would
they
say
were having fun.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you can test it, but I think we might be coming to a conclusion, like we have done multiple times, that the answer is to just journal.
Do you think go out and then write down how you feel?
Yeah.
And meditate on it. And,
Exactly. Introspection.
And just stop it if it's a problem.
Stop it. I think that can be the only way, can't it? It can be like really considering how you feel after having perhaps a weekend just at home on your own, compared to a weekend being around people
and the quality of your company.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that can't be it. Your introversion or extroversion can't be based on the quality of the people around you, but maybe you're not understanding yourself if you're putting yourself in a situation with people that are toxic to you.
Yeah.
Or not serving you. If we want to be a bit less negative, just not serving you, then maybe that's still nothing to do with that's nothing to do with your introversion or your extroversion. Again, it's just putting yourself in, it's understanding yourself and knowing who to surround yourself with.
And also, I tell you as well, it's my daughter recognises that she likes time on her own, and she likes being on her, like she will be, like yesterday, she was like, I'm going to go to Dad's because I know that there's not going to be anyone there, and I'm going to be, I'm going to have a day to myself kind of thing. So, because she likes spending time on her own and obviously not having the energy that maybe I bring there. So maybe that's, her introversion as such. And understanding that and making herself in that kind of environment.
Oh, she's so emotionally intelligent.
Oh, I know.
Must be the parenting.
Obviously. She is not her own person. She is absolutely an extension of me. And that's a whole other conversation. No, but I just think it's interesting watching her navigate that and say, like, you're a bit too much, Mum. I'm off to an empty house because I need some alone time.
And how did you?
What does that say about me? I took complete offence, went and cried in my room for ages.
Yeah, made her feel guilty.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Told her you're now going to be on your own all day.
I do joke saying that, though. You'll leave me all on my own. You've got your dog. That's what I get. You've got your dog.
Got your dog. It's our baby brother.
Fourth way. Anyway, sorry, we're going completely off.
Yeah. In conclusion,
I'll let you do this.
Well, I mean, I don't even know whether I'm an introvert or an extrovert. I'm not sure how I'm qualified to conclude.
When we started.
I feel like it's important to remember, always bear in mind the definitions of introvert and extrovert, and consider how you feel after time alone versus time with other people. Multiple times to get a sound view on what you are, and then listen to that going forward.
Perfect.
The end.
This journey of life with friendship as our guide, together we'll grow, 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 grow. Grow together we'll grow, grow, grow.